Happy Father's Day, guys. Welcome into a Sunday morning episode of the Daily Juice Podcast. My name is Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me across all socials at Sports Talk Matt. This podcast being brought to you by OmahaSteaks.com. The promo code JUICE at checkout will save you $10 off your order at OmahaSteaks.com. So it's just been one of those weird weeks. Look, we don't win every week. We don't win every day. We don't win every month. As a reminder, we won yesterday, but we won 0.02. So pretty flat. Cubs run line. We got that right. We pushed on the Aces. 172, a 90-82 final. If you bet the Liberty like I told you to, you cashed that as well. The Oilers game was dead wrong. So I got the Aces game right with +2 for the Liberty and the over. Dead wrong on the Oilers going under 2.5 goals. They scored 100. They scored 8. 8-1 final game. Well, first period, 5 goals. Yeah, good bet, Matt. Whew. So there we go with a complete difference. Just like the NBA Finals, Game 4 was a rout for the team down 0-3. Does that mean anything in the series? I don't think so. I think both of them will end in 5, but we'll talk more about Game 5 tomorrow on tomorrow's podcast for Monday. Here we are on a Sunday. Let me say a quick thing about Father's Day here because I'm 47 years old. There's a chance that some of you are young. In your 20s, maybe early 30s. I'm not going to sit here and tell you to have a child. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's easy to be a parent. But I know when I was in my early 20s, in my 30s, I didn't want to have a kid. I wanted no part of it. And I thought I was a very self-absorbed, I was a very focused on a me life. That's all I cared about really was me and my career. I got married, I had my child. Now the marriage didn't work. Got divorced, but I would never change it for a million years because my daughter changed my life. And when she was born in July of 2014, I was going to get that right. She's turning 10. I stayed up with her for 7 hours straight. My wife had some complications, ex-wife had some complications, and it was just me and my kid. And in that night, I can't even begin to describe what that was like. My entire life changed. My world changed. All of a sudden, all of the things I thought that mattered no longer mattered. All of the things I worried about, I no longer worried about them. And it was the most amazing moments of my life, and I never will forget them. I then went to go do a radio broadcast from Fenway Park on the very morning my daughter was born. So to give you an idea of who I am as a guy, as a dad, with my kid for 7 hours, literally no sleep, went to Fenway Park, did a show pregame before the Red Sox game. I was on July 30th, 2014, I was in the Red Sox clubhouse. I was in the Red Sox dugout doing interviews. So just to give you an idea of who I am as a broadcaster and as a father, but I know you might think that having a kid is something you don't want to do. My daughter is 9, soon to be 10. She's like, I'm not having kids. I'm like, I know that feeling. I know that exact sentiment. But if you do choose to have a child, let me tell you from somebody who is pretty self-absorbed and pretty much on the me train, it makes this day really special. Now, it's called Father's Day. I don't like the name of that. I have a line that I like to live by a lot that, there's a difference between a male and a man. And there's also a difference between a father and a dad. And I know there's a lot of you out there that did not biologically conceive the child that you're helping to raise. And I want you to know that this day is as much your day as it is my day with my daughter. Because just because you can have a kid and you're able to father a child doesn't mean you're a dad. This should be called Dad's Day, not Father's Day. Any idiot with working plumbing down there can conceive. It takes a different person to be a dad. This is a hat that I wear. It says girl dad on it. I live by that a lot. Girl dad, not girl father, girl dad, boy dad. Because to be a dad, it's the best name you'll ever be called. I've been called a lot of things in my life, a lot of negative, nasty things. When I hear my daughter call me daddy, it doesn't matter what anyone else has called me ever. As long as she calls me that, I'm good. So today is as much your day, Dad's Day. Just because you didn't raise the kid or just because you didn't father the kid, but you're raising the kid and you're the one stepping up, or the guy who fathered the child is not, understand that I see you, a lot of us see you, and we thank you, commend you, and honor you on this day as much as anything else. Because the word father doesn't apply here. It's Dad's Day, so have a good one. For those of us who do not have our fathers in our lives, and my father has been out of my life for a very long time, it's a decent day. I always say this, like I talk about this, like contact your dad, write your dad. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what do I do? I'm a complete hypocrite on these things because my father and I have been estranged for a very long time, but I do tend to reach out via email on this day to my dad and tell him what's going on with my daughter. And, I won't get into the whole background, but it's I, like a lot of you, had a rocky childhood. And I was able to get out of it. I was lucky to get out of it. I had people around me to support me, and I fought my way through. And now I've got loving people around me, and I'm very fortunate for those people who helped me to get to where I am today. But maybe it is time to call your dad. Maybe it is time to send that text message. Maybe it is time to send that email and just say, hey, I'm thinking about you. Hopefully you're doing well. Not saying you got to forgive. I'm not saying you got to, build the bridge in a day. I'm not saying you got to get over whatever happened. But it is a decent day to maybe try to put the fire out, drop the hatchet for a couple of hours, stop the fighting, and maybe just realize that this person brought you into the world. And you should be thankful of that because you're here and you're listening to this podcast or you're watching this podcast. So it's a long way of saying Happy Father's Day, and I hope you all have a wonderful day watching the U.S. Open, maybe grilling out some Omaha steaks, maybe hanging out with whomever you're getting to hang out with today. It's a day that I hope it's a happy day for all of you, is I guess what I'm trying to say. I hope you enjoy it. So it's Sunday, and it's Father's Day. We need Russell Henley to get into the top 10, all right? Will Zalatoris missed the cut. And if Bryson keeps on doing what Bryson's going to do, we're going to lose that bet on the over 274.5. We need Bryson to blow up here because right now he's got a 3-stroke lead, and I'm nervous about the number he's going to put up on Sunday. Hopefully he just shoots like 1 or 2 over. And hopefully the winning score is 4 under. That's the hope here. That the wind blows a little bit. It's supposed to be scorching hot today. Hopefully the greens are like super crispy by the time the leaders come out there. And it's a very difficult golf course and like 2 or 3 over on the final round. Like if you're among the leaders, that's what wins it for you. If not, we're dead on that. So we'll have lost a full unit there and we'll have lost a half a unit on Zalatoris. And then we need Russell Henley in the top 10. So if Russell Henley gets there, that's a plus 550. That would be decent if he can do that. So all eyes are on Russell Henley here for me, and we'll see what the guy winds up doing today. I'm not jumping up and down about it, but there may be a potential here for us to get ourselves into a top 10 with ties for Russell Henley. He's 2 over par. He's currently tied for 16th. If he goes to even par, that would be tied for 9th. So we're going to need him to probably, we'll see what the numbers turn out. Hopefully it's a very difficult golf course. He shot 70, 70, 72. Shoot 70 in round 4, and hopefully that means he finishes in the top 10. So we're live for that plus 550, but there's no guarantee. He's going to have to play better than he did yesterday where he went bogey in 18, bogey on 15. We don't want that again. He had 4 bogeys and 2 birdies. Rest of them pars. We don't want that. We want a 70 or better at a Russell Henley here for us. But tied for 16th means he's live to come in the top 10. So we're watching that closely. But Bryson with a 3-stroke lead, 4 under par for Rory McIlroy. He's a very popular bet right now. A lot of people are very, very interested in going ahead and watching that to happen. We'll see how this all goes for the U.S. Open, but minus 125 for Bryson DeChambeau to win this thing, which is incredible. Rory's plus 330. Cantlay is plus 750. Oberg is 16-1. Pavon is 16-1. Matsuyama is 20-1. And the rest, it goes to 55-1 and higher. So this is basically a one-horse race. We'll see. We'll see. What are we playing today? Well, college baseball. Let's talk about the Omaha Classic, known as the College World Series. So for those of you who do not know, I spent 5 years in Omaha, Nebraska, doing afternoon drive, doing pre and post game for Nebraska football and Creighton basketball. That's why I love Creighton and I don't like Nebraska football. Just FYI. Come football season and basketball season, if you're new to the podcast, you'll get the joke later. So we have 2 games today. One is a must-win elimination game. The first game, loser goes home. Virginia and Florida State. ACC rivals. They played one time this season, and Florida State won the game 12-7. The weather in Omaha is always really important, but the rain and the storms blew through yesterday. Normally, on the back end of storms, when it comes to Omaha, again, this is just local knowledge because I've been there and I've watched this and I've been around it. The wind can kick up behind storm systems like this. And the direction of the wind, as of right now, it looks like it's going to be blowing out to left. Now, not straight out to left, kind of a crosswind at Charles Schwab Park, but balls hit from center field to left field could be in play here, and we could see the ball travel. On top of the fact that Florida State just is not a good pitching team, but they can score with anybody. I like Florida State to win the game, but it's a coin flip. Virginia's really good, and Virginia's going to be a team that, they could come out of the losers bracket. Not to say I don't think they'll win this thing, but I think you got to watch this. Last night, 5-4 the final, Kentucky and NC State, and 3-2 that game currently now in the bottom of the 8th inning as we tape this because of all the weather. There was huge delay for A&M in Florida. I think this is the offense day. Yesterday was the pitching day. Today's the offense day. Virginia and Florida State, the total in this game is 12.5. It's juiced -115 to the over. We're playing over. 12-11 was the final score between Tennessee and Florida State. And Florida State could very well wind up. I'll bet Florida State personally. I'll be on Florida State. But I like the over more because Virginia, I just think, can score enough runs on Florida State. And I know Florida State's going to score here. I mean, FSU is going to put up. They could go over this 12.5 themselves. They scored 12 in the first matchup in the ACC tournament against Virginia. They played one time before. It scored 12 runs. It's all hands on deck. It's an elimination game, okay? But I just think offense is going to happen here. This is a 2 o'clock Eastern time start for this game at Charles Schwab Field. I like both these teams to score a lot of runs here. We're going over 12.5 for Virginia and Florida State at -115. And then the night game is North Carolina and Tennessee. I love both these offenses. I love both these teams. But I think this is a game where at 11.5, Vance Honeycutt is the guy that beat Virginia 3-2 with the walk-off. We had 3 walk-off hits in the first wins in the first 4 games of the College World Series. Look, I just think North Carolina is 100% live to win this game. Okay, you can take +1.5 runs on Carolina because a lot of these games have been decided by 1 run. So I don't mind you taking the +1.5 if you don't want to get into it. But Tennessee can score. That's just what they do. They scored 12 runs against Florida State. They had a hitter go for the cycle, which is ridiculous. They've got their best pitcher in Drew Beam going to the mound, but this guy hasn't been great. He's given up a bunch of runs here. I think it's 14 runs in his last 3 appearances in the NCAA tournament. So he may be their ace, but it's not like he's like a guy who's a shutdown pitcher by any means. He's gonna give up some runs here, 4 to 5 runs. Then we get into the bullpen, and this is not a elimination game. This is a winner's bracket game. So you don't have to blow out pitchers here, right? If you lose, you go, okay, you lost. We'll see you back. We'll go to the loser's bracket and hopefully fight our way out of this. Tennessee's the number 1 seed, but I've liked this North Carolina team a ton. I think they're live to win this game. I think they're live at +1.5, but I'm going to take the over here again because I think this is offense. I think we're going to see offense from both these teams. We know the Vols can score. We know the offense for North Carolina has pop in it if given the opportunity to score. 11.5, I'm going over 11.5. Father's Day offense. Let's get a fun day. And I tell you, in the ballpark in Omaha on Father's Day, it's an awesome scene. It's a really cool, it's like the hardest ticket to get because everybody wants to take their dad in Omaha to go watch this game, these games, plural. And you're going to see Tennessee, North Carolina, and Florida State and Virginia. I mean, those are four of the best teams in college baseball. Obviously, it's the College World Series, but these are four of the best teams that are actually in the College World Series. So two tremendous games to watch on Father's Day. Offense, offense, offense. Get the wind blowing out. Let's go offense over 11.5 for North Carolina and Tennessee. I like Florida State. I like North Carolina. If you're looking for sides to bet, I think Florida State and North Carolina, or plus 1.5 for Carolina. It's plus 150 money line, minus 110 on the run line to take the plus 1.5 runs here. Yes, it's Sunday. Yes, I'm betting baseball, but not Major League Baseball. We're betting college baseball for the Omaha College World Series. So over in both games, over 12.5, over 11.5. Now, one more play for us. WNBA. It is time for Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark to get back together on national TV. Now, first matchup, Fever win the game 71-70. Right back to the same spot in Indianapolis here for the Fever. However, I'm just not in love with the way the Fever have been playing, and I'm not really sure why the Fever are favored here. This is kind of similar to what I said yesterday when I was talking about the fact that the Vegas Aces were favored against the Liberty. I was like, why are they favored? That's not right. I don't think this is right. It's plus 2.5 right now for the Fever. Sky are 3-3 on the road. Fever are 2-4 at home. The Fever are coming off a win over Atlanta. They lost on the road to Connecticut. They beat Washington on the road. They lost badly to New York. That's the last time we bet the Fever, when the Liberty took them behind the woodshed and killed them. Sky have lost 4 of the last 5 games. The Sky need this desperately. They're 4-8. They lost by 1 last time out. I think we can take the plus 2.5 here. I think the Sky will most likely win the game. I think if you want to go and just take money line here, you can do that. But I would rather just take the plus 2.5 on this and take, I think, which a team that, is playing pretty well. I'm going to take the 2.5 for Chicago on the road and think it's going to come right down to one final possession like it did the last time. But I think you have a good shot to see a win for the Sky, who are in desperation mode. The Fever just, again, haven't looked great in some of these marquee matchup games. I'm going to take the points here. Road dog. Chicago Sky plus 2.5 up against the Indiana Fever for 1.1 units. All right, so 3 bets for us on Father's Day. Over Florida State, over 12.5. Over North Carolina, over 11.5. Plus 2.5 for the Sky on the road against the Indiana Fever in the WNBA. Hopefully you have a great day. Let's hopefully end the week. It's going to be a losing week, but let's have a solid Sunday. Cut into the margin a little bit here and start a new week coming up tomorrow and get back on the winning track. My name's Matt Perrault. Follow me across all socials at Sports Talk Matt every morning. DLG's podcast. Always being brought to you by OmahaSteaks.com.